Hi guys. So today we're gonna start with some pre-algebra stuff for the first half of the week. We're gonna go over combining like terms. Before we do that, I did want to go over some vocab, just to make sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go over stuff. So first, we're gonna look at the word expression. So an expression is just like words family. Uh, Basically, it is. It's a combination of variables, coefficients. I can't spell. Coefficients and constants linked together in some way, shape, or form. Basically, the big thing you want to know the difference between is that an expression has no equal sign. So an example would be like 2x plus 7. That's an expression. Just, yeah, there you go. The big thing is an expression does not have an equal sign. That's kind of what you want to do. An equation, the main difference is that it does have an equal sign. These are the types of things that you would solve. An expression you can simplify, which is what we're going to be doing, but an equation is something that you would actually solve. So, for example, an equation would be like 2x plus 7 equals 13. As soon as you, another example would be like if you had y equals 4x plus 2. Anytime you have an equal sign, it's technically an equation. Another expression would be you could say like 2x plus 4y minus 7b or something. I mean, it can be any variables. It doesn't have to be just one. But no equal sign is an expression. An equal sign means it's an equation. As far as a variable, that is a letter. Oops. Letter that stands in for a number or represents a number or unknown. Like it could be a number that we know what it is, or it could be a number that we don't know what it is. But it's basically just a letter that's going to represent some number. And then you have a coefficient. That is a number attached to a variable. Attached to a variable. Another thing I forgot to write on here, but a constant, that's going to be a number by itself. Okay, so there you go. Vocab. Awesome. Math is super cool. Okay, so today we're going to look at combining like terms. And basically what that means is you're going to add the coefficients of terms so long as they have the exact same variable. So for example, on this one, I have two terms that have an r squared. It has to be the same letter, has to be the same letter, and it has to be the same exponent on that letter if there's an exponent. So since that's true, I can go ahead and add those together. So it's going to be 9r squared. The r and the exponent, they don't change, okay? When you're combining like terms, you just add coefficients. The variable just tells you if they match. Then I've got two numbers that are constants. They don't have any variable attached to them, so I can add those together, and I get 7. And then you're done. So another example, now when you have a minus, it gets a little tricky. You're going to have, because you're subtracting everything in there. So you're going to have to do something called distribute the negative. We're going to talk more about the distributive property in the second half of the week. But basically what that means is you're treating this like a -1. And I can go ahead and bring down that 2k minus 2, but that becomes a -2 and a -4k. Because if you've got a minus with parentheses, you are subtracting the whole thing. So now I can just combine like terms again. So I've got a k and then another k. So those two go together, and I can add the two coefficients. Make sure that if you have a minus, you know that that is the same thing as having like a -4 there. So 2 plus -4 is -2k. Then I have two numbers that are constants. Add those together and get -4. And then I'm done. Okay. So with this, it's the same thing, right? It's a plus sign in the middle, so I'm just combining. So all I have to do is go through and find my like terms. So I've got a 7 by itself and a 3 by itself. Actually, sorry. When we're writing these, we should always start with the biggest exponent first. So I'm actually going to start with that. It's the only v to the 4th, so I don't have to add it with anything. I just have to remember to bring it down. Next, the next biggest one would be a v. And if you write these out of order, I mean, you're not technically wrong. It's just this is the proper way to write it. Just FYI. So 2 with a v, so I'm going to add their coefficients, and -3 plus -5 is -8. And then I have 2 that are constants, and I will just add those together to get 10, and then I'm done. Okay. I've just got some more examples. So remember, if you have a minus, basically what you want to do is you want to change the sign of everything in here. Okay. So that's going to become a -7a squared and a +3 and a +6a. And then I'm just going to make that go away. And then I can leave that other thing up there. Doesn't really matter. So the biggest exponent I have is an a squared. So I'm going to combine those two to get -1a squared. You could also just write -a squared, but either way, it's technically the same thing. Then I have my 6a, and it's the only one, so I just have to bring it down. Then I have a constant and a constant. Add those together. Got 4, and I'm done. So remember, don't change the exponents on the variables. Okay. Sorry. Ooh. Sorry. All right. Actually, do this. That's not that's easier. 2 more examples. Okay. So I just wanted to show these because I don't want you to get overwhelmed if you see all this stuff. You're just like, oh my gosh, there's so many things going on. There's like 500 million letters and all these exponents. What in the world? So when you see something like this, you're still just matching. It's just you're matching more complicated things. So like I'm going to look at this one. It's got a u and then a v to the 4th. So I have to see if anywhere else has the same thing. So here I've got another one that has a u and a v to the 4th. So I'm just going to add those two 4s together to get 8. And then my uv to the 4th doesn't change. I'm just saying that. Instead of, there's a total of 8 of those kinds of variables. And then I just do the same thing moving down the line. So I have a u to the 4th and a v, and then here I have another one. So I'm just making sure that this part matches, okay? Because you're combining like terms. So like means the same. They match each other. If you ever have a variable that doesn't have a number in front, that's essentially the same thing as having a 1. So if it helps you out, I strongly recommend just put a 1 there, because you're doing 1 plus -4, which is going to be -3. U4B. And then you just got to write down your variable just how it's written up there. Then I've just got my little lonely v to the 4th. It's the only one, so all I have to do is bring it down. And then you're done. Okay, so even though this looks really big and complicated and scary, just know that if you just take it one step at a time, you're not doing anything crazy. Okay. All right. Here, I do have a minus, so be careful with that. Remember that if it's a plus sign, you don't have to change. You don't have to change anything. But if it's a minus, you're going to want to change the signs of everything after it. So I'm going to change that to -x4y2. I'm going to change this to +4y² and a +x3y. And I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 there. So now I just got to combine my like terms. So let's just start with the first one. Y². Well, I have another y² right there. Oh, and by the way, this is gone now because I changed it. So all I have to do is add the coefficients together. Sorry, that gets distracted. So 6 plus 4 is 10, and my y² does not change. Next, I've got an x3y2. Well, that is the only one that is like that. There is no other x3y2. So all I have to do, and that would have a 1 in front of it too, all I have to do is bring it down. You can put the 1 there or not, doesn't really matter. Technically, it's more proper to not write the 1, but you're not wrong if you write it. You know what I mean? Okay, then, oops. The next thing we have is x3y. I've got one of those over here. So you're just matching. It's a lot of letters and numbers, but you're just matching. And I'm using different colors to circle them because that's what I like to do. But you know, if you're doing this on a piece of paper and you're writing with pencil, it's one color. You could put a box around one, a triangle around one, a circle, just to keep yourself organized. Once you combine them, you can scratch them off, however you want to do it, so that you just make sure that you're combining the same ones. So -8 and +1 is going to give me -7x3y, because I'm not going to change my variable. I'm just going to add the coefficients. And then last but not least, I've got this guy. He's the only one of his kind, so I just have to bring him down. And that is combining like terms. So I will see you guys at the live meet. We will practice this together, and then you'll do some on your own.